If you are wondering what the downside of freelancing as an interior designer looks like, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Cynthia. Welcome to Space for Edit, where we talk about all the things that they don't teach you in design school, but you need to know in the real world. I am a commercial interior designer, and now I've been self-employed for about plus minus 2 years or so. And since I started, my business model has changed quite a bit. I started off as a freelancer, so I would be working for other design companies, for architects, for contractors, and helping them with their design work, not focusing on my own client work. But after my first 9 months, I realized that that is not really going to work for me. I've made a video about first year of freelancing, so go check that out. But today I wanted to talk about why I have stepped away from that, and now I'm focusing on my own clients, on my own projects, and kind of like my own business. So this was one of the first signs that kind of indicated to me that freelancing is not really what I thought it would be. So when I started freelancing, at first I had kind of like handful of connections that were sending work my way and everything was working well. But once that kind of dried up and once there were no leads coming in from them, I had to turn to cold outreach. Now, anyone who has ever done cold outreach before in any kind of business will know how soul crushing it is, and the success rate on this type of lead generation is fairly small. And don't come at me with, you need to change your messaging, you need to say this, you need to say that. The messaging was changed a lot of times. The truth is that cold outreach is just really hard, and it really is a numbers game. Most of the times you just get ignored and ghosted. It's almost like you've never sent that email. But even at the times when you do get a reply back, it's almost always something along the lines of, oh yes, we're going to keep you in mind for future projects. We don't need any help or assistance at the moment, So that was kind of the first trigger that made me think, is all of this effort worth it? Which sort of rolls into the next point. So the potential income that you could get is also quite low and quite restricted compared to project work, from your design fees, from markups, margins that you make on FF&E. Thankfully, my first clients, my first freelance jobs were quite well paid, but eventually later on I started to feel a bit of a pushback, and the messaging was quite clear. I was charging too much from their perspective. And here's the main thing. Even though there were clients who did agree to my fees, that was still not enough to cover the cost of running my business, running my life, and just surviving in general. I will remind you that I've got a design fee course if you are struggling with figuring out your design fees, so check that link in the description box. So it seemed like the ceiling, the amount that I could earn, was quite low, and if you think about it, it really does make sense. So if I was to hire a freelancer to help me with my workload, I would have to make sure that I am charging my client a lot higher rate so that I can still earn something from that project and still pay that freelancer. That's just business. You always add up margin on top of whatever you outsource, whether that's labor or FF&E or anything else. So I guess one tip here is, if you do end up going the freelance route, is aim for those businesses, for those studios that maybe charge higher fees. Maybe they work with more high-end clients. That will make sure that they have that allowance there to actually hire out a freelancer. Okay, well, this might not have happened that often, and maybe most of the times it was all in my head anyways, but I did feel like that oftentimes I wasn't really counted as an important player in the whole team game. See, when you're an employee within a team, there is some sort of a chemistry going on. There's some sort of a respect, that you are there, people rely on you, and that sort of a thing. But when you are a freelancer, you are almost like an outsider. You are kind of floating in between or around everything else. You're not quite part of a team, you're not running your own project, so where are you? You're called in whenever, wherever, last minute type of things, like, can you please jump on this? We really need help. Can you do this over the weekend? Can you do this over the next 2 days? So it's always like a last minute thing. Well, not always, but most of the times it felt like it was just the last straw. Something had gone wrong and, you know, I was there to help them out. So yeah, it feels good to be needed from that kind of viewpoint, but at the same time, it just didn't sit right for me. I felt like I either belong or I either do my own thing. Yes, I know that dealing with clients and dealing with trades and all of the other things that come with kind of client project management and running your own projects, like all of that comes in, but I just missed it. I really felt isolated, and even though I had other freelance design friends and kind of had a bit of obviously things going around, like I wasn't completely alone, I still felt like, you know, I'm missing something. When you run your own projects and work with your own clients, you are constantly sort of in this universe of people connected to you, whether that is a client, whether that's a supplier, a contractor. You are even going out networking with other business owners, you know, doing lead generation and all sort of things. So you are constantly kind of in that universe of doing business with people. With freelancing, it didn't feel that way. Maybe I was doing it wrong. Maybe I should have gone out and done it. But for me, the actual interesting part is working with all the other elements in the process of creating designs. And when you're a freelancer, you don't really have to do all that. The jobs that I would usually take on would be 3D visualizing, concept design, CAD work. So it's very much like sit down, do the work kind of a thing. There's no need for communication outside of your own little space. There was no need for sourcing, which I really enjoy. So looking for materials and furniture and finishes. No need to liaise with contractors and talk about the detail of the project. And you definitely don't get to see the client. At first, this was great because I needed to take a step back. If you've watched my I quit my job videos, then you will know I was in a dark place and I was really struggling at the time. So I needed to take a step back. But eventually, once I kind of maybe had some rest from it all and life sort of calmed down and settled down, I really felt like I was missing something. I needed more and just wanted to be more involved in my projects. Yeah, it was tricky because I could not share any of the work that I was doing, which would help me to market my services online. All I could do is just go back to kind of like my library and my past projects and put them out, let's say on LinkedIn, on social media, but that could get a bit repetitive with times. So because of all the NDAs that you have to sign and because you don't really own the design yourself, that is literally not your client, that is your client's client in a way. So you can't really take any credit for that work, even though you are doing all that work. Those are your ideas and that is your creativity there. So I just felt a little bit stuck. There was no freedom, there was no flexibility, and there was no forward motion. It just felt like, okay, this is all that I'm going to do. It's all going to be kind of like behind the scenes sort of thing. So there you go. There's a few reasons that got me thinking that, you know what, putting my effort, my time into freelancing is probably not my 5-year plan. So that's what I've been doing for the last, I don't know, 6 to 10 months or so. I've been kind of trying to shift my focus and my energy towards client work. But obviously it's not as easy and smooth as that. It is a completely different ball game when you shift your focus from freelancing to client work. There's a completely different marketing strategy and even the competition around you. Usually commercial interior design studios and architect studios are quite big. They've got big teams, big names, big client catalog, a lot of years experience behind it, whereas I'm kind of coming in fresh. I technically don't know anyone, so I have really strongly been focusing on that, kind of getting in front the right people in the right industries, or even talking to people who might know more people that I could connect to. It is a lot, and that is a topic for a different video, which hopefully one day will come your way as I'm making my notes. of all the ups and downs and all the top tips that have helped me along the way. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and if you have more time to watch a few more videos, then these might be of interest, but if not, then I'll see you in the next one. Bye.